All right, so guys, welcome back to another episode of the Performance Rehab Authority podcast. We got Dr. Justin Farnsworth on here. We're just here, been chatting for like 15 minutes already, so I figured we should start. We should start recording. Thanks for joining us, Justin.
Yeah, man. Always pumped to be here. Super
It's
proud.
always-
Super pumped to see what you guys are doing. So, always appreciate you guys giving us our time, and always nice to talk to other healthcare providers that get it. Like I'm looking behind you and I see a trap bar and I see a squat rack and a bench. This is how PT clinic should look.
yeah, man. It's pretty dope. It is always nice chatting with like-minded individuals, and I don't know. I really appreciate you coming on to the summit and supporting us on both the ones we've done so far too, man. It's always good to
Of course.
have good humor too, right? Like I love the title of your talk, like big booty save lives. From the
Dude,
first
big
one.
booties do say lies. People always laugh at that. I think every time I teach a course, I say that, and the room always laughs. They understand.
Mhm.
It's a good one. And let's be honest, if you can't like laugh at yourself a little bit, if you can't laugh at all, like medicine's allowed to be fun, coaching's allowed to be fun, working's out allowed to be fun, freaking being on a podcast is allowed to be fun. So we got to make it fun.
Dude, I know there's like such a stigma in our profession, or I guess because it's medical, right? It's like you should be professional. Everybody goes to work like fucking khakis and dress shoes.
Yeah, ready? Fuck that. Like, just treat your patients. I know, man. I remember, it's funny, when I was in grad school, talk about being professional. So this was, 12 to 13 years ago. And I remember we took this class, my first semester was called Professional Behaviors. That was after the class. And everyone was so, just all nervous. Like, am I going to get yelled at for like breathing the wrong way? And I remember in that class, they gaslit us and forced us to become APTA members. You basically like failed the class if you didn't become an APTA member. And I actually made a post, I think it might have been yesterday, it was like this morning. It was like the PT school problem. It was like business class from a guy that never had a business or failed a business. Exercise class from people that don't even exercise or train. Statistics course from someone that's never treated a patient outside of a lab. Like 150 plus K in a profession that's going to net you maybe 70. And you're going to have people be like, oh no, I make six figures. Cool. I can tell you what we paid our PTs here in Western New York. Brand new grads from Nazareth College that paid $250K for their degree, you're going to get $60,000 in Western New York. And it's like, that's why I started. Tucson, Arizona, 13 years ago. I went a lot farther. But yeah, man, it's this whole thing. And we just have, I love PT. I have to start with that. I love physical therapy. I think it's a great profession. I think there are a lot of kick-ass physical therapists. But as a whole, we just have a stick so far up our ass about just like, we're doctors, put on our tie. And I'm like, no, just be a human being, man. That's how you can connect with patients way better. Wear whatever you want to work. Have a fucking neck tattoo. Who cares? Like literally nobody cares. Your patients don't care. And in fact, if you had a neck tattoo, you're probably going to empathize with them way more. They're going to be like, oh, this is just a normal human. Like, and people just let their guard down, and like therapy can be fun.
Dude, that's a great point. First of all, I've got a bunch of tattoos. I've wanted to get a neck tattoo for so long, but I'm just like, it's going to hurt. Plus, I don't know what I'd get. But either way, speaking of tattoos,
Yeah.
I had a kid.
I got zero.
Yeah, well, maybe you should not get one if you don't want one.
I know the one I want to get. I just haven't done it.
Dude, I hate getting tattooed. Like, I've got tattoos all over my chest, my back. I got one that goes up like most of my leg, my other thigh. Like, and the more tattoos I get, the more I fucking hate getting tattooed. Like, it just sucks.
So is there just like a lot of self-hatred you're getting with the tattoos?
Honestly, I think so. So here's like the funniest thing. Like when I look at my tattoos, like they don't all like every one doesn't have like a specific meaning, right? But I think it's like it's been a therapeutic thing for me because like I have a shitty time in life, and then I like get a tattoo, and it's like just thoughts that I've had. Like this whole arm is dedicated to like friends that I've got that have passed away, and just experiences that I've had while I was deployed. This one's all like just different clocks and like things like that, and it's just like at one point I felt like I was just kind of wasting my life, right? And I was just like living and existing with no goals, and I was going nowhere. And I was, you gotta fucking pull your head out of your ass. Like, you only get one life, right? Like you gotta do something with it. So that's where that came from. And then there's been like just other periods that have been like really tough in life, and then I don't know, I get a tattoo based on how I'm feeling at the time, which maybe isn't the best advice, but it's like life lessons that I've learned that are all over my body.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Like when you see the people that have the Mickey Mouse tattoos on their ankle, and you look at them and you're like, there's nothing you've gone through in life that makes you need that tattoo. Like it just looks dumb. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it has no meaning. Ask anyone that has like a Mickey Mouse tattoo or like the Joker tattoo on their ankle, and you're like, "Why'd you get that?" And they're like, "Oh,
Like,
college, drunk, I don't
yeah.
remember." So
Caitlin's got
I've got
one
none.
Caitlin's got one that says amor fate fati, like love of fate. And I just tell her that it says you love fatties all the time.
That's amazing.
What was I going to say? Oh, bringing it back around to, just being a human. I had a kid that I treated a couple weeks ago, and it was like a 15-year-old kid. First of all, anybody that says the way you move doesn't matter, like, fuck them. They don't know what they're talking about. Like, being a movement optimist, like, how you move doesn't matter. Like, that's just an excuse to be a shitty clinician and not actually figure things out, my opinion. Because I see people all the time that have pain with movement. Like, this kid came in and he had pain with back squatting, right? His dad only let him back squat up to 235 for some reason, but every time over the last couple months he got to 135, he would get pain, right? And that's the only time he had pain. And all I did for this kid was look at the way he squatted. It was terrible. He would just collapse down to the bottom, knees would come in, big old butt wink. So I just elevated his heels and taught him how to brace his spine. And then he back squat up to 205 for a few sets of 5 with no pain. So the way he moved does matter. But when I was treating him, like going through some assessment and talking to him, he's like very doctor's office about it, very kind of scared and like uptight. And like I was talking to him and I was just like, dude, look at me. Does this look like a normal doctor's office? And he's like, no. I'm like, do normal doctors fucking swear when you're in here? And he's like, no. I was like, exactly. You can relax, man. I'm just here to help. And then from that moment, he was just like, oh, this is just a guy trying to help me, and like actually started talking to me and being a human. So super, super powerful stuff if you can just like relate to your patients.
I agree, but I think the biggest takeaway, did I just hear you say that form actually matters?
Yeah, of course.
Technique matters? No. It's all about exposure, man. Pain science. It's not anything to do with technique. You just have to expose him to shitty positions over years, and then he finally won't have pain because technique doesn't matter until it does.
Yeah, until it does. It doesn't matter until it does. And then the same people that are telling you that pain doesn't matter, then they blow their fucking back out deadlifting on the internet.
This is always an interesting thing to me. I mean, pain science is such a real thing. The biopsychosocial model of pain is a very real thing. You got these people on like two ends of the spectrum. I think in the therapy world, you have the people that will not be named, who I just typically despise, that don't even train themselves, that are like, I'll just sit someone in a chair and talk to them. And like, I'm going to talk their pain away. And there's some reality to that. I've had a few patients where, their intake took me an hour and we've got nothing done, but they felt better leaving because I just listened to them. And then they bought in and they showed up. And then we worked hard and got stronger and they felt better. Who knows what made them feel better? Maybe it was all the above. But then you have like the other end of the spectrum where it's like, no, I'm never going to touch my patients at all. I'm never going to touch the thing that hurts. We're only going to get stronger, and that's going to help them. And then I'm like, I think what we do is just in the middle. Like it really is. And like there's an excellent saying that I say a lot. Like it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the load you're not prepared for. And I love that saying, but I'm always curious, like, how the hell do you measure that? Like, let's be honest, the NBA still doesn't know. The NFL still doesn't know. With all this load management stuff, like even people looking at all the data, they still don't know when people aren't ready. And I think that's such a paradox in rehab. And I don't have an answer. I just find it interesting that we have all these thoughts. And it's like, yeah, it's not the load that brings you down, the load you're not prepared for. Cool. What does that look like in application in real life?
Dude, that's like the key right there. What does that look like in application to your life? Because you can find literature to support both ends of every single argument. You can tear the literature apart. What's important to me is like what's happening in the person in front of me, right? Like I got a young kid, he's just collapsing, he's falling down, he has no idea how to control his body. Cool, maybe we should teach him that. Oh, look, it feels better, right? So then if the research tells me it doesn't matter, like I don't care because it just changes this kid's life, right? Like he's looking to play football at a high level and he's looking to get scholarships and he can't train and he's afraid that the training's going to carry over and he's going to have pain in football. Mm-hmm. Now he left after one session of being confident because I just taught him how to move better. Like, yes, it does matter. Now, with the talking to people in the pain science, so classically trained, I did 2 manual therapy fellowships, right? I'm an FAAOMPT × 2, which is like ridiculous.
You're a font.
Yeah. So it's literally because I did a residency and then I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm fucking doing. Which, by the way, there's some studies in the JOSPT that shows that residency trained clinicians get their treatment effect sizes are like less than non-residency trained.
Smaller. Yep, I saw that. It's kind of funny. I'm surprised it actually got published. I'm surprised the APTA didn't shut that down.
Yeah. Well, it's because these people don't have a system, right? Like they go, you got to school, you get a bunch of knowledge, nobody knows what they're doing, they don't know how to apply it to patients. They go and do a residency, and the APTA standards aren't focused on how do you actually fucking treat patients. It's let's read more literature and let's talk on Zoom about hypotheticals patients and in studies and see how these might apply. Like, how do you systematize sitting down, fucking talking to somebody, making them feel heard, knowing what to listen for? They're going to cue you into the things that like 99% of PTs are going to fucking miss. And then how do you walk them through a plan of care in a way where you actually have a fucking reason for everything that you're doing, right? Like, how many clinicians out there just doing shit just because?
All of them.
Yeah.
Most of them. I mean, I'll be honest, the ones that have really good systems probably either don't work as PTs anymore, or they're just in a cash model. I mean, I'll be completely honest. Like, in my experience, the ones that are really good at like doing stuff like that, they just don't last in insurance models. They just simply don't have the time to get the volume. I used to do it, but it wasn't really. It was a lot.
Dude,
it was a grind.
I would take hours of documentation because I wouldn't get fucking any of it done throughout the day because I was too busy like actually taking care of my patients. And then the documentation was all made up anyway because I don't remember shit at the end of the day. But like, that's the way it works. You know, when you're seeing 30
we used
patients.
we used to have a system. I forget the name of the company. Actually, I remember it, but they were okay, so I'm not going to give them a shout out. And it was all AI generated documentation. So when people would come in, they would actually, this is amazing. So, you know, like the old school offices, you go and you fill out the medical chart and paper, right? Mm-hmm. And then the PT, you're like, I have to just upload what they already filled out into my note, which is dumb. Yeah. They come in, they fill their intake out on the computer, and it populates onto their initial eval when I go to open it. So all their subjectives in there. And then off of all that data and their LEFS or whatever else, the AI makes recommendations on potential goals and timeframes based on people just like them. Age, gender, comorbidity number. So it's kind of like it was like taking photo. Remember photo? Mm-hmm. Then I'm not even sure if it even exists anymore. It used to be the biggest thing a decade ago. We used it where I worked in Arizona. There's a way to compare our outcomes, right? But it's like taking photo and making it applicable in your documentation so that I would have an initial eval take me 5 minutes and I'd have a daily note take me like 2. And honestly, I'm the worst documenter. It's such a waste of time. No one freaking reads it. Like, yeah. You know, I've actually put in documentation. It's like, this person does not need medical care anymore. And assurance is like, awesome, 15 more visits.
Dude, I used to do that fucking intentionally when I worked, because I worked in a place where there's like a high disability population, a lot of people just faking. And I'm like, I would write that specifically, like, you know, the Waddell signs. I was like on a mission for a while to like this person is faking. And I would write that like,
yeah.
I watch them walk outside and suddenly they're not in any pain. And they go from limping to walking and running and jumping. And they're like, great, more visits approved. Whereas, you know, I get a kid with an ACL rehab. I was talking about this on the summit yesterday. And he gets 4 visits at a time. It's like for an ACL repair. Like, what the hell is going on here?
It makes sense. Dude, that being said, though, I remember my boss always had a good thing he said. And like, insurance sucks, let's just be honest. But also, like, you know, if I signed up for the Ford Focus insurance plan versus like the Cadillac insurance plan, that's kind of also on me. Like, if I don't know what's in my insurance plan when I sign up and then I'm like, I only get 4 visits, like, that sucks, yes. But also, like, you kind of signed up for that plan. Yeah. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah, people are just so uneducated when it comes to it. Like, they just expect insurance to pay everything. They don't really know. Obviously, like, the people that I see now, like, they're familiar with their insurance plans and they know, like, no, I don't have out-of-network reimbursement. Yes, I do. Yeah, I do, but I've got to pay 10 grand anyway, so I might as well come see you and actually get good care instead of paying, you know what I mean, an insurance network there. Where I was going with this, though, before I got totally sidetracked, was like the pain science thing and all of that, right? And being a manual therapy fellow, I did the least amount of manual therapy in my cash practice than I've fucking ever done. Like, every once in a while, I'll do cervical manips because somebody really needs it, and they're kind of fun to do. I just like do it every once in a while, make sure I'm still good at it. I'm like, oh yeah, it's cool, right? Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's about it, and then with the pain science stuff, like I actually got to spend 3 days with Lorimer Mosley, one of my fellowships. Super cool dude, super smart, but like people go way too fucking deep on that, right? Like you don't need to over explain it. Just explain that, like, hey, pain doesn't equal damage, right? Like, hey, you ever touch a hot stove? Cool, you burnt the shit out of yourself. Now you know hot things are painful. So what happens when you sit too close to a campfire? Right? Hot things are dangerous. Close to a campfire, it starts to hurt. You can fucking stay there and never get burned, but it's gonna start hurting more and more and more because it's just a warning sign. Like, it has nothing to do with damage. Completely tear your Achilles, that shit doesn't hurt. Just somebody flicks you or hit you with a stick in the ankle. That's how people describe it. Like, that's a lot of damage. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. And it just like gets rid of the concern. I don't go down the rabbit hole like this is in your head and we need to talk about all of this. There is power in listening to people because they don't ever get listened to in the medical community. So there's plenty of times you said that, you've had evals where you didn't touch anybody. There's times where like people come in and I just talk to them for multiple visits, but it's not talking to them just like about their pain. It's talking to them and helping them problem solve their day so they can be in control of their pain 24 hours a day, especially if it's like neck or back pain. They have no idea what causes it, and they're load sensitive, and they're like sitting down looking at their phone all day, and they're holding on to their steering wheel up here like an asshat. It's like, let's change those things, right? So it's educating them and empowering them and teaching them the tools that they need to be in control of their pain. And then they come back and they're like, I feel so much better, and I didn't touch them. And I'm like, cool, now we can fucking lift and get strong.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, I remember I heard there's a very well-known PT was on a podcast with another very well-known PT maybe last week or so, and the guy was basically saying, he's like, I really don't ever do manual therapy because long-term outcomes, it doesn't make a difference. And I'm sitting there, like, what a short-sighted thing to think about, because in the short term it does. Remember we were taking statistics and research, and we were all obsessed with like long-term change. But if you can make someone feel like, if your back hurts today, right? If you literally go to pick up something and you fuck up your back, and someone's like, yo, I can do a thing that's going to make it 50% better right now, but it's not going to make it better long term, so I'm not going to do it. Wouldn't you be like, yo, asshole, just give me the thing that's going to make me a temporary, like a little bit better?
Yeah,
Wouldn't you want that?
absolutely.
This is just such a, again, it's this whole pendulum of like, the best PTs use manual therapy and exercise. The best PTs use manual therapy for chronic conditions, probably not that often, but for acute conditions for about 2 weeks. And then we just kind of get away from it and show people how to self-manage their own symptoms. And I don't know why that's so hard. It's like you got to be one end or the other. I'm going to go teach that. So remember you took that rehab course with us, right? Up at Chad's spot. I'm going to go teach this course to a bunch of physical therapists at Excelsior here in West New York and Buffalo. It's a big hospital outpatient center. And we'll discuss how, like, yeah, you should be doing some manual therapy, but that's 10% of our course. And the other 90% is, here's the exercise that glues down the manual therapy you already did. And if you're still doing the same thing in 3 weeks, you should probably do something different. But don't neglect the power of touch and what you can do for someone right now. And yeah, whatever, if it's a placebo effect, still an effect. Like, shit, I will smack you in the face if you're like, my pain goes away. I actually had a patient once in New York City, no joke. I think I told this story. New York City, right? This guy's mom, her job was to smack people with a wooden paddle. So they're from China. I forget the name of the practice. It was like an old Chinese thing. And she had a 3-month wait list for just smacking people with a freaking paddle. Like, we're all here debating if manual therapy is even ethical. Should we even do it? And I'm like, yeah, just don't do it for an hour and a half, and you'll probably be fine.
Good.
It's like,
Sounds like a great job.
I mean, shit. It's yeah. Here's a baseball bat. Your Laker, it's great. Let me smack that.
Dude, have you seen the fucking things on like Instagram where they've got like a fucking ball in a
Yes.
yeah, and they're just like fucking hammering people with a punch? I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
This looks terrible.
It's funny, and then you have the same PTs that look at like, oh, this is dangerous, or the same ones that are like, oh, your body's resilient. Well, what is it? Pick one.
Dude,
They're not going to get by a car.
That's the conundrum, right? That's like when men and women, two opposite spectrums here, talk about CrossFit. Women are like, I don't want to do CrossFit because I don't want to get jacked. And dudes are like, I don't do CrossFit because I don't want to lose all my gains. Which fucking is it? Are you going to get jacked or are you going to lose all your gains? Because it's like, it fundamentally doesn't work different on a physiological level.
True. I just don't do CrossFit because I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, listen, I did CrossFit for a long time. That's like what got me into fitness originally. And I
Yep.
competed on a team at the regional level way back when regionals was a thing for like 4 years. It was fun, right? I started CrossFit for getting a lot of people that would not have otherwise gone into fitness into fitness. The problem with CrossFit, in my opinion, is that there's like no standardization of it. Like any asshat can go take a fucking course, open a gym, do their own programming, and it's like they're not qualified.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I did CrossFit. So I was a professional athlete. And when I got to grad school, like I lost my identity of, okay, what am I going to do now? So I ran half marathons and then I just did CrossFit. I did that for about 3 to 4 years. And it was fine because I was, 23, 24, like 22, I could handle those stresses. But now I'm like, there's no freaking way because there's no real good standardization. There's no really good entry point progression. Yeah, they have there. Like if you can't do it, you're going to do this, but there's no like competency on movement. And generally speaking, very highly technical stuff under fatigue usually doesn't go well, especially when you talk about most people have chronic pain. I'll tell you right now, the majority of people going to do CrossFit aren't like the people that do CrossFit for a living. It's just people wanting to exercise and work out. And most of the CrossFit gyms, so we partner with some of them. We go do our courses, some of them. The ones that are doing it well aren't actually doing CrossFit. They still have the brand name because they took the course and like they paid to have it on there.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's like I'm always a fan of exercise. I'm always a fan of exercise in a way that you enjoy and is sustainable for you. But there are some forms that just don't rock for people. So just find something else.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of like Olympic lifts performed for time. Like that's a highly technical thing. You need great mobility, stability, control, and like just motor control for. And you get these people come off the street. And it's like their third time going to the gym ever, and they're in their 60s, and they're like, "Do a snatch." Like they can't even get their arms over their head. They can squat like halfway down because their ankles and their hips don't move, and they're like, "Get lower." I look at the shit that I did, so I'll have people come in that I used to coach, and they're like, "Oh, I still do this thing that you taught me," and I'm like, "Stop doing that. It was bad advice."
It's funny you say that. So it's like if you let's look at Olympic weightlifters. The ones that are actually in the Olympics doing that thing, they don't do Olympic weightlifting for time.
No.
It's very technical. It's like one rep at a time. They're usually not doing multiple reps. That's just, of course, that's not their sport. But that's actually a funny way to say that. This is where I think the kettlebell has a huge opportunity. I think I picked one of our courses, why we have our functional kettlebell training course. It's like we have this thing, and there's no tool that's better than any other tool. Like a tool is a tool. The best coaches just fit the tool to the person versus force feeding stuff. But there are things that generally make sense. Like someone in acute pain, like the barbell is not going to solve that. The barbell is probably a horrible rehab tool. Let's be completely honest. I used to have a squat rack in the clinic I worked at, and I actually didn't use it as much as I thought I would. I used the trap bar, I used kettlebells, and I used dumbbells way more. The kettlebell is really cool though because you have this singularly loaded object that has lots of rotation components to it, and therefore you can send people in way different directions more than any other tool. So I actually really like that because it's not about the exercise, right? It's about the adaptation. So it's like if I want to train speed and power, well, I can do that multiple different ways that have a lower barrier of entry technical wise using like a med ball. Like a med ball is right below sprinting in terms of force output. Like a kettlebell, because it's safe, it's rotation, it's usually like loaded on one side. We can stagger your stance and we can get into cool positions that you can't get into with a barbell.
Yeah. So we have like squat racks and barbells, and I use them a lot, but that's because I work with barbell athletes a lot. Right? Like people, that's their sport, that's their goal. They want to squat, bench, deadlift. But if somebody comes in here, like we'll have people that come in here just because they've got osteopenia and they want to get back to exercising so they can improve their bone density, and they've also got knee pain or neck or back pain. Those people, if they don't have a goal to use a barbell, I'm not just arbitrarily giving them. We'll use that thing a lot, right? Like I'm not just arbitrarily giving them a barbell. So I agree with you, man. I'm using dumbbells a lot. I use the kettlebell for a lot of things. But there are a lot of people that are just like, they like the barbell. So that's what, like as clinicians, they like the barbell. So they try to, like you were saying, kind of force feed that to people that, again, have like absolutely no business even using a barbell. And they have no interest in using a barbell either. So if that's involved in somebody's goals, like, yeah, we're definitely going to be looking at the barbell. But other than that, like, for what?
I have a couple clients who have some, so we do a lot of online coaching. and I have a couple clients that have some chronic issues, but they literally told me like, this barbell thing defines me and makes me happy.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, then we'll find a way to do it that makes sense. We're not just going to do it to do it. But this is where having a coaching eye, I think, is so important. And that's the thing. I wish, if I was on a mission, I wish every physical therapist spent time with like a personal trainer or in a strength and conditioning facility. You know, we talked about this over the weekend a little bit. I think that's such a low-hanging fruit for physical therapists. Because I think with our doctoral degree that we pay too much for and feel very insecure about, like coming out of school with, and we want to make ourselves feel really smart. And I used to be this person, man. Like this was me my first 1 or 2 years. Like I've been there. You want to be above like the trainers, and like we hate the trainers because they're fucking retarded and stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. And it's like, no, they actually have a lot that they could show you. This is real. You're laughing. I'm like, this is a real thing. There's a lot you can learn from a really good coach. There really is, because they use exercise all the time, and they use it with people that have more pain than people we're seeing in physical therapy. We're like, no, just use the band. I don't want to hurt your shoulder. And they're out there freaking putting people in good positions and training hard. This is actually why we made the rehab course. It's like the rehab course, we literally took the PPSC. I took that. I literally renamed it, changed some things, but it's effectively the same course as the PPSC with a little bit of a different order on how we might build a physical therapy session. You know, we teach the kettlebell swing in the rehab course. We don't do that in the PPSC because the kettlebell swing's awesome for clinicians. We talk about the landmine, but it's about 70% the same, simply so physical therapists would be like, this is for physical therapists. Because I'm not going to go to a course that's for coaches because I'm smarter than they are. I'm like, but you're not. Like, you're book smarter, but you don't know how to squat yourself, much less coach someone how to do it and program it and use it. And that's okay to admit that. And the second we can like break down those walls in our profession and partner much better with the training world, I just think that is a huge opportunity. Shoot, it's a huge opportunity for clients.
Oh yeah.
It's a free-flowing two-way system.
Yeah. We have in our intake paperwork, there's like a HIPAA release for like, hey, who's your coach? I want to talk to them, right? So we can have the rehab and the training work synergistically, especially if they're getting personalized programming. Like, I don't want to be giving them shit that's fucking with their training, and I don't want their training fucking with their rehab. So I'm like, hey, let me see their training plan so I can, one, make sure that I'm not doing anything that's going to, fuck them up. But then two, also, I can give you some feedback on what they have going on the pain side, and we can kind of work around figuring it out so you can work with them at the same time. I've learned a shit ton from strength and conditioning coaches here locally and from going to strength and conditioning conferences. That's really where I spend most of my time. I don't even know the last time I went to a physical therapy conference. Well, I guess I was at the CSM. At a table set up.
It's funny. It's I'm with you, and it's funny. You go to something like CSM, which is great. Like, it's awesome. But you have all these people that are supposed to be movement experts sitting their asses in a chair, not doing anything, just listening.
Dude, so we had so many physical therapists walk by, right? And I had brought a fucking rogue pull-up bar to try to bring our people in. Hit a max set of pull-ups. Caitlin and I both did. We just put up a whiteboard and we're like, hey, who can beat our score? And that brought our people in. But we had so many people walk by, and I'm like, hey, man, like, we hit some pull-ups. And they're like, no, I can't. I'm pregnant. Like, what do you mean you can't because you're pregnant? Like, what? You're a physical therapist? Yeah. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, show me you don't know without telling me you don't know. Yeah, it's I bet you how many strength and conditioning courses you've gone to. I bet you half of that course, you're like moving, you're doing stuff in real time, you're coaching, you're sweating.
Yeah,
you're holding the wheel. It's a wild thing.
It's like a little bit of education, maybe background, classroom time. Immediately by, let's go fucking do the thing. Let's move and let's sweat. Mm-hmm. And I was super fucking sore. I'm like, God, why do my hamstrings hurt? I was holding an empty bowl.
That's the goal, man. Our so the rehab course, it's like the PPSC, 50 to 60% is lab stuff. Here's a human, coach them in real time with all the stuff I talked about. Our kettlebell course is actually 16 hours of kettlebells. There's almost no lecture. We talk as we do, because you can't. And this is the problem with like MedBridge. You can't learn an in-person skill on a computer. You just can't. You can learn the data and the theory, but until you put your hands on someone and actually do the thing multiple times, you're not going to retain that skill. And it's such a hypocritical thing, because in physical therapy school, we're taught the hierarchy of learning. And then those same people put out online courses where it's like, this literally goes against all the hierarchy of learning that you told me about, but like COVID, in person, masks, and I got to make money building this course. So it doesn't make sense.
Dude, well, that's one thing I talk to all of our students about in the PRA is like, take the shit that you're learning and use it on everybody. Like, try it on everybody. Everything that you're doing, find patients that don't need it and practice it on them. Like, that's an okay thing to do. Like, hey, let me just check out your hip mobility. Let me see how your upper cervical spine's moving. Like, it's not dangerous. There's no negative. And that way there, you do it on a bunch of people that don't have issues. And then when you find someone that has an issue, you're like, well, that's different. Like, okay.
And the best thing is patients don't care. I think I've probably manipulated more cervical spines on like patients I was treating for something else than actually patients who needed a cervical spine manip. I would always find the avatars would be like, hey, can I just practice this on you? And they're like, yeah, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah. Like, that's the funny thing is that patients love that shit. And everybody's afraid to be like, oh, I'm taking a course. I'm learning something new. Let me like just check to make sure I'm doing this right real quick. When in all reality, dude, like this is the book that we have for people that I typed out the whole fucking course so they can just open it up and be like, all right, hold on, let me check this real quick. Okay, that's how I'm supposed to do it. That's what I did when I'm learning shit. I'm like, hold on, I got to just double check my notes real quick. And patients are like, yeah, that's great. Please make sure you're doing something right. I'd love for you to do it right. You know, people
that's what I did when I used to dry needle people. I pulled the book out. Be like, let me just double check where the needle's supposed to go. Like, I know what I'm doing, but I haven't done this one in a minute. They don't care.
No.
Especially if you help them.
They don't care.
Don't make them worse. That's it. Just don't make them worse when you do the thing. They're like, I got to practice this on you. Like, don't make them worse, but you won't. Like, when's the last time you heard of like someone dying at physical therapy? Even something like dry needling that's supposed to be really dangerous. The last thing you and I heard about bad dry needling was when Thyroid Taylor got his freaking lung punctured because a doctor didn't know how to hit like the right part of his T-spine. Like, you don't hear about it. 1 in a million infection is what it is. And unless you're an idiot and you put a needle straight down here, there's almost nothing you're going to have go wrong. If you hit an artery, I had one of our instructors, I think it was Tyler, one of our instructors for our course, he's a PT in Colorado. He's like, someone hit an artery in their class and it shot the needle up through the ceiling. Like, arteries are muscular. It's going to clot like that. I remember they told us that during the course, and it's like, you're not going to kill anyone. And look at acupuncturists. Ever been to acupuncture?
Yeah.
Man, they just freaking like in, and somehow we're like, oh, I'm not sure I'm allowed to do this if it's safe.
I don't know. There's a lot of ridiculousness, and it's because everybody wants to like. Well, it's also like social media, right? The way to gain a following for a lot of people is I'm going to be very polarizing. Like, I'm going to go against the fucking grain, and I'm just going to say shit that makes people angry, so I get a following. And it's like it's not actually fucking.
It's helpful. A hard space. Yeah, it's a hard space. It's funny. I put up as much content as I can, and it takes me a minute. And I used to be very, very angry sounding, like maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that got interactions. But then I'm like, I mean, I'm teaching. I'm not like a super big public figure, but I'm public enough. And I teach enough people that I don't think angry sounding is really helping. And it's not really who I am.
No.
But you can't come out with an Instagram post that's like, well, maybe it depends. You have to kind of like say something where you kind of take a stand, but then you have caption to nuance around why you think what you think. And then hopefully people actually read it, because most people don't. They just react to what they see. But that's just the unfortunate reality of what Instagram is. It's not real life.
No.
It's fake.
The cool thing is that you can post whatever you want. Then you don't have to argue with other PTs in the fucking captions or in the comments, right? You can just not respond.
I one time put up a video of maybe it was me. It was me dry needling my wife. She had some weird like pronator, was really hurting. I'm like, I can stick a needle in it, and it might help, it might not. And it took her pain away. Like, maybe it was all fake. I don't know. But we did that, and the next day she was like, it was fine. And I had this kid from Duke. He was a student at Duke, 3rd year, message me and literally go, I can't believe you would promote such bullshit. Dry needling is not good. It's this, it's fake, it's a placebo. And I just responded back. I'm like, it's funny you say that, because all the idiots I've ever met in physical therapy actually went to Duke. And that's all I said.
That's fucking funny.
He was like so angry. Like somehow it's like some like I literally insulted him by doing a thing that I had a lot of experience with that I know typically works. So maybe I'm biasing myself. Um, it was just wild, man. It was
Dude,
wild.
if I put a needle in somebody and it helps me get better, great. If I put a needle in somebody and it doesn't help them to get better, cool. I'm not going to do it again. You know, like I
Yeah.
just think of it as like, this is just saving me from doing more work with my hands. You know, it's
Amen.
like all the different tools. Like if you want to use scraping or cupping or needling or fucking use a tool or use your hand, like whatever. Like it's all doing similar shit. Yeah, the needle it creates like an actual lesion and all this stuff, but like it to me, it's just like less work. Like cool, sit there for a few minutes, maybe
I
system on it.
I am biased though. I think, and again, I'm biased because I've done it. I don't do it anymore. I'm in New York. I'm not allowed to, whatever. But before I was in New York, we did a bunch. Um, I don't think there's any other manual therapy technique we have that can mimic a needle. Like, for example, you can take your elbow to someone's glute med as long as you want. You're actually not going to get to the glute med. It's too deep. Like, you're not going to get there. But if you take that freaking 90 to 100 gauge needle and you stick it on someone's lateral hip and then you put some stim on there, it's like, I had a few patients that had, no joke, L405 discectomies, still the same pain down their leg post surgery. And then we started dry needling their lateral hip because we all know, right, the glute med mimics the L4, L5 nerve distribution. And it was like 2 to 3 sessions of that, and the thing was gone forever. I mean, assuming forever. I never saw him again. Who knows? Um, so it's like, I think it's, I love needling. I can talk about needling all day. I think it's great. I think we should all be able to do it. But
But you
I
can't,
just think it's better.
loser. So
I am. I am a loser. I'll admit it.
so I went to the dry needling course I went to because I was that idiot from Duke at first, and I was like, I think this is fucking bullshit. So I went to the course just to say that I took the course, and I still think it's bullshit. I don't think I took the best course um, because I've learned a lot since then, and I'm like, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
different ways of looking at this. But what I learned in the course, that's when I started realizing like the importance of systems, right? Like I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, motherfuckers in this class, and even what they taught was like, hey, literally, they said if it hurts, put a needle in it. I'm like, maybe that's not the best thought process around it. So that's what everybody that was in that course did, right? And I'm talking to them, and I'm like, yeah, but what about this? Or like, would you look at this? And they're like, nope, just put a fucking needle in it. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So then Osama, I don't know if you know Osama Imam, who he is. He teaches for James Dunning's group, a dry needling there.
Mm-hmm.
And Osama knows a ton about dry needling. So when we were going through, when he went through the PRA, and when he was going through, he just like kept talking to me about needles. He's like, I think you think about needles way differently than I do. So he educated me a ton on the way that he uses needles and the thought process. And I'm like, I think I learned more in a 2-hour conversation with him than I did in a 3-day weekend course. And then since then, like, I've done a lot more needling. I'm like, oh, now this makes more sense with the way you're thinking
Mm-hmm.
and explaining it. So I think it does matter. But again, he has a system around it. It's not just like, if it fucking hurts, put a needle in it. But it can be very effective.
Yeah, I think systems are so powerful. And again, when we teach this course, like we teach a system. That's what I tell people. I'm like, yo, this is about a system. There's a big picture view of how we can manage clients, how we can manage patients. And then you can fit in the tools. That's, I think, one of the issues with continuing education, especially for PTs, is you don't really learn the system. You learn like, here's the tool. So dry needling, for example, here's how you dry needle all the stuff. I don't even think they ever mention what to do after it or like when to do it. And it's like the way I've always thought about physical therapy, that's always made sense to me, is like, hey, you do the feel good stuff first for about 3 to 5 minutes. Short term carryover, but we need to control alt delete the brain. So whether that's cupping, scraping, ART, it doesn't matter. All of those do the same thing. Control alt delete. Make them feel touched and good first before we move. Cool. Now that we unlocked like the pain signal from the brain that we all agree this is where pain is housed, and when we can affect this from the periphery, it's going to make a control delete change down. Cool. Now that the parking brakes are off, let's just move through a range of motion. So like after that, I usually do some mobility stuff. Like if I'm going to dry needle your upper trap, we're going to do some upper trap stretching after. Like we actually are, but it's going to take us maybe 3 sets of 30 seconds. Like it's 90 seconds to 2 minutes total time. Because after that, we want to train, right? And then we move on to doing things like, corrective exercise, where we helps you feel better. Now let's move more efficiently before we put you under load. Right? So we do corrective exercise. Not that we're fixing your anatomy. We're not going to change your leg length discrepancy, just like I'm not going to change the color of your eyes. But can we help your brain understand how to be a little bit more efficient so we get a better output when we put you under load? Cool. We're going to do that for about 3 to 5 minutes. And now I'm like, okay, about 10 minutes into my session, now we're doing, we call this activation, where we restabilize all the things we opened up, right? So if we have someone with a tight hip flexor or tight anterior capsule, we're probably moving it forward, we're stretching it forward. Great, let's do some bridges. Let's have you feel your ass to restabilize on the back side what we opened up on the front. And then we're going to prime you. We're going to do some power-esque type things to take advantage of post-activation potentiation. So that's a patient, that's like isometrics. Maybe it's med ball stuff. Maybe it's pogos. Maybe it's getting out of a chair really fast. But something that's actually dynamically fast, because we all know we lose rate of force development as we get older, and that's a bigger predictor of non-contact injuries in sports and activities of daily living than strength is. And we all agree strength's important. And then there's 30% of my session. And guess what the next 70% is? Let's get swole. Yeah. Let's lift some weights. And let's rebuild your human movement system, not with a way of like, you have to do it this way, but like, everyone's going to squat. Let me find the way we can do that for you. Get reps and sets, make you stronger and more resilient, which might help your pain. There's some research around specific pathologies that could tell from all pain. And we know when people get stronger, that actually gets better. There's a correlation, right? Maybe with chronic pain, not as much, but we do know the more you move, just the better you feel. So sometimes we don't need to be as specific, I think, on stronger. For some people, we definitely do need to be specific on stronger, but just rebuild the human movement system and get them to a place. My goal for every one of my patients, the best that I could with insurance limitations, was when they left me, because we didn't ever have an aftercare program, but when they left me, they should be confident going to the gym and just exercising for the rest of their life. And if I can give them that gift, I think I can give them the gift of long-term wellness. Because we all know every chronic condition we have, exercise will fix it. A lot of pain points, especially chronic pain, you just move your body, you exercise, it'll fix it. I mean, shoot, I put up a post this morning off a study from 2017. It's like, I think it was 6 miles of running is like a 10 milligram morphine, like equivalent to 10 milligrams of morphine in terms of like pain relief. So nothing to go run 6 miles, but just like exercise truly is medicine. I think that's the weak link in the physical therapy profession, because we don't act it out. We don't believe that exercise is medicine. We know we have to do it, but like we don't truly encompass and embody what that can actually mean for people. And people don't leave us understanding that.
Dude, that's...
I told you I get on my soapbox.
That's fucking gold. Like, if everybody that's listening right now, like, you need to fucking rewind this and go back and listen to that again. Like, exactly how to organize a systematic treatment session where you can actually have a fucking intent and a goal and get people moving. And I think the biggest thing is confidence. Like, so in my clinic, we follow like a 3-step process throughout the rehab, like, whole thing, right? And we have people where we stick around and we make sure that they're confident at the end. So like the first phase is mend. It's like, all right, let's do the nice things. Let's get you out of pain. We want to get you moving as soon as possible in whatever capacity we can, but it's focused on short-term pain relief immediately so we can get them moving, right? And then the second phase is move. Like, so let's start breaking down these functional movement patterns, right? Like, how are you, like, well, depending on their body part, but like horizontal pushing, pulling, vertical pushing, pulling, squat, hinge, lunge, right? Carry, all of those things. We're going to start working on that. And it's probably going to be slow, controlled tempo, maybe not very heavy. And then we got the maximize phase where we're going to load the fuck out of you, right? Like, you're going to be in here, you're going to leave extremely sweaty. So bring a change of clothes. And the whole point of that is to have this period of time where we're rebuilding their confidence and their tissue capacity. Yes, but really it's the confidence. That's the factor. Like, no matter what they do, when they leave here, they're going to have the confidence to go out and do whatever they want with absolutely no limitations or hesitations.
And that's the goal of physical therapy, better than before. And that's how people leave you. And that's how we change lives.
Hell yeah. And speaking of physical therapy, I just had a patient walk in, so I got to go now.
Hey, man. Awesome. I appreciate it. You got to put something in the show notes. Be like, yo, first 35 minutes, we're just like shooting the shit. The last 10 minutes, at least skip to that. It gets real. We have what we hope is some good conversation. But always, I appreciate you. Anything you guys need, of course, just let us know. And hopefully we'll do this again sometime soon.
Hell yeah. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, dude.